All right. Well, another week. Obviously, another week to have our team together here in Walston Stadium. I think for the first time that we've hosted 3 playoff games in one season. The second time we've had a quarterfinal game at home now in the last few years here. But what a great opportunity for our guys that they've earned. We're excited for this opportunity to be back home and playing in this game, and certainly going to have a test. Wisconsin Whitewater is going to come in here, and they're going to be a very similar operation to us. You're going to see a lot of similar style of football. They want to run the ball on offense, and they're going to try to stop the run on defense. And they believe in winning up front. They've got a really strong offensive line, a defensive line that has been, in the games that we've seen, very, very dominant in the run game. And like I said, just a well-balanced team. And I mentioned it last week as we were getting ready for Whitworth. When you get to this point, you're going to see deeper and deeper teams, and that's kind of what we're going to see coming in here across the board. They're going to be pretty solid on all levels and in all phases. And I think as always, the kicking game and the field position battle, when you have 2 teams that want to run the football and establish the run game, is going to play a big role this week as well. And so, like I said, the depth of both teams is going to show up on Saturday, and we'll see how that comes out. But that's where we're at right now anyway, and we're going to keep learning more about these guys as the week goes along.
It seems like the other times that you've played Whitewater, you've been able to play with that chip on your shoulder, not getting the respect as being a team that's going to be, able to play with this team. Does it feel bizarre as kind of being in the situation, which I know there's no spread on this game, but where you might be the favorite team here?
Yeah. I mean, I would say there's, it's definitely different going into this one. I think that, again, we know we're going to have our hands full with the team that they have, and they're certainly as talented as ever. But I think our talent and our experience level from last year is a lot different than what we've had before. The confidence level we'll come into this game with. And again, I think just having a little bit of home field advantage, that's been the difference too. We've had to go over there every time we've matched up with them. So having this opportunity to be in Walston Stadium, like I said, back home with a veteran group. And, that's our thing right now with the COVID year, having, with the 5th-year players that we have in the past. The Wisconsin League is always, they do still, but they've always had 5th-year players. And so we would go into this round and they would have 23, 24-year-old guys running out there, and we wouldn't have any of those. And so I think there's some things that have leveled the playing field a little bit, and it'll feel a little different going in, but I still think our guys will take the same path as we have every week, and it's going to be about us and us playing our style of football. And my whole nameless, faceless will still apply this week, and we'll go out there and try to be the best version of ourselves for 60 minutes, and hopefully that'll be enough.
I think this is probably the 3rd different head coach you faced in the playoffs from Whitewater, but philosophically, are they pretty much the same?
Yeah, I would say they got a similar focus, right? They've always been that's kind of that league has always been that way through the WEAC. It's a physical league, right? They know how to run the football, they know how to play great defense, and you're going to play a physical game. And I think there may be some changeover in the league right now with how people are playing from what I can gather and that type of thing, but I don't think Whitewater's changed that. I mean, like I said, they're rushing the ball for 260 yards a game and giving up under 100 yards a game rushing, and so that's going to be their kind of the way their approach is going to be still is, hey, we're going to run the football, we're going to try and hit some play action passes down the field. They've got a nice athletic quarterback that adds another wrinkle to that run game. So that side of the ball, that's the way it's going to be. And I think Coach Rindle, their head coach now, played on their 2008 team when we were over there playing him back then. He was a stud linebacker for him, and I think his approach on defense is still what it's been. Hey, you stop the run, you make a team one-dimensional, and then you get after the quarterback, and that's been a pretty good recipe for success for them, just like it has been for us.
How confident are you in your ability to stop the run? You held Whitworth, I believe, to 7 yards rushing on Saturday and really made them one-dimensional. Different team, different opponent this week, but you guys have gotten the job done on that end of things. Can you do it again?
Yeah. I mean, that's going to have to be. If we want to come away with a W on Saturday, that's going to have to be the way it is. Trying to find a way to keep these guys in check running the football. I don't know that anybody has completely just shut them down in the way that we've shut down some teams. But if you could make it a little more complicated to run the ball and not allow them to have the chunk plays in the running game, they've got some really explosive backs and a quarterback, like I said, that can run. And so they've been able to kind of chunk together some big plays in the run game, which a lot of teams you see try to get that through the air. These guys have been able to do it on the ground. And so I think if we can keep that in check, like I said, our defensive line, I think, will be as good as they've seen along the way. And I've got a lot of confidence in our front. And I feel like we can do that. And if we can and kind of make them a little bit more one-dimensional and force them to have to throw to win, that's going to be our best chance to keep them, from getting things going offensively.
How much does it help that, you've had that long playoff run? You're not going to go into a quarterfinal game against Wisconsin Whitewater maybe as wide-eyed as you have been in the past.
Yeah, no, that makes a big difference. Like I said, just that experience, having guys that have played in these games. I mean, hey, we went up to St. John's last year. We've been out to Mount Union. Obviously even a great Aurora team came in here last year playing Wisconsin lacrosse here at home. So we've seen some great competition. I mean, we went up to Bethel this year. We had Co coming here as a good football team. So we're no stranger to seeing good teams, balanced teams that can play great offense and play great defense, that can run the ball, stop the run, all the above. And so it's nice to have that run from last year under our belt and a bunch of guys back that had that experience. And like I said, when you match that with being here at home and doing it here, I really think that can be an advantage for us, and it's something that our guys will feed off of. I know that this last week with the Thanksgiving crowd, still had a good turnout, but I can tell you right now it's going to look even more different out there this weekend with Whitewater in town, and should be a lot of fun with the environment we're going to have on Saturday.
I'm looking at this field right now, and I assume you have to go out there and practice on that at some point. How do you get this thing right?
Well, I'll leave that to Haley in our maintenance side, but no, they'll either we'll be plowing that field out there or plowing our practice field, one of the two, moving some snow off of there, and then hopefully Mother Nature does some work here midweek with the 40s temperatures, and once the sun comes out and we get above freezing, that stuff melts off pretty quick out there. But yeah, for the beginning of this week, we might have to move practice around back out to the practice field, or we'll find some space. And hey, that's kind of always been our MO around here too, anytime, any place. And so I always joke with the guys, if we have to go out and D-lot in the gravel and put a ball down, we'll figure out how to get a practice done and make sure we're ready to go. So I don't think they'll be too concerned with that. It actually probably add a little bit of fun and excitement to practice this time of year.
Chris, obviously the deeper run you make in the playoffs, specialty teams are magnified that much more. We saw them miss an extra point Saturday, and it kind of killed some of them. And how are they on their special teams?
Yeah, they've got a great special teams unit. I think their return game is very strong. I mean, that was one of the things we weren't as solid on our kickoff team this last weekend as we need to be. So their kickoff return team and how they've established field position for them. I know, like I said, just their athleticism with their returners, with their coverage guys. We've seen that in the past. I mean, honestly, last time in 2019 when we matched up with these guys, that was a difference maker. I mean, it ended up being maybe a 13-point game, and I think we had 4 turnovers, and so we didn't really take care of the ball. And then they had a punt return for a touchdown and started multiple drives in plus field position off a long kickoff return. So yeah, there's no doubt special teams are going to be a huge part of this game, and we're going to have to be ready to go. And I think it's going to test the depth of our team, and this could be a week too where you start seeing maybe some guys that maybe haven't played quite as big of a role on special teams and have been a little more limited to just playing offense or playing defense, that might find their way onto a couple of those teams to make sure that we can keep that in check and have that be an advantage for us.
First time in school history you've scored over 40 points in back-to-back playoff games. Obviously, all eyes are forward right now, but looking back at the Whitworth game, you did have a couple of turnovers, including one going in that second quarter. Do you feel you even can be more protective? It sounds silly to say when you put 40 plus on the board these first couple of games, but you feel you still have some rough edges to smooth out.
Yeah, no doubt. I think if you look back if you look at just the 2 playoff games, Illinois College, we dropped a couple passes where you could have really seen that score balloon for maybe a couple more scores on top of that. And this last week, a couple of turnovers, like you said, one moving our way down in, really on the move, having a chance to put some points on the board. So yes, I do think there's still more to be seen from our offense, but the thing I'm liking about our offense right now is the balance, right? I think we've proven, maybe some people thought going into things, hey, we're a running team, which I believe we are. We're going to establish a run game, but we can throw it. And I think Whitworth found that out on Saturday, that we've got a quarterback that can make plays. And it's not, it was week 1, it was Carter Henry kind of jumping off the tape. And week 2, it's Drake George. I mean, Thor Moxted had a nice touchdown catch down there. We've got weapons all across our offense that I think people are starting to see right now and really seeing the balance of our offense. And that's where that scoring is coming from. And like you said, if we can do a better job, taking care of the ball and executing on a few more of these opportunities, you can really see this thing jump off the page. And we're going to have to, you get to this point, 8 teams left in the playoffs. you don't have time for mistakes right now. So, take care of the football and execute when you have an opportunity to make a big play. That'll be a difference maker in the game on Saturday.
And within the running game itself, how much of it is just being patient? Because we saw a few times where there was runs with Hunter with 1 yard, 1 yard, 2 yard, but the next run, Hunter's boxed in and he's going for 20. How much of it is just being patient to stay with it from a game plan?
Yeah, there's no doubt. You got to keep your balance. And I know that's going to be one of the number one things that, Wisconsin Whitewater is going to try and do is get us out of that balance, try to get us from not running the football. And even some, like you said, sometimes a 2 or 3 yard run's not bad. It keeps you on schedule, gives you a chance to run the next play. Here we go, and we're not behind the sticks, and keeps them from being able to just pin their ears back and really get after you in the pass rush. So yeah, there's no doubt you got to be patient with your running game. When you've got a guy like Hunter Clausen, it's hard not to be patient. You want to get that guy his touches because at some point along the way, even if it's not exactly the way you drew it up, he's going to make something happen. And so we got to get Hunter his touches, and we've got to be able to do a great job up front of continue to kind of dominate the line of scrimmage where our offensive line has. And if we can do that and keep a consistent running game, that just opens up these opportunities for you to see more of what Nile did this last week in the passing game. So yeah, we've got to stay patient. We've got to trust that our running game can get going. And like I've been saying along the way here in the playoffs, a punt's not the worst play in the world. If you're not turning the ball over and you can kind of shift the field position, at some point we've proven that. I think you saw it this last week in the second quarter. It was kind of like that 7-6 ball game in the first quarter against Whitworth, and all of a sudden we block a punt, set the field position in our half the field. Next thing you know, 21 points are on the board before they could even blink an eye, and we've separated out. So, like I said, if we can kind of own that field position, stay consistent with the running game, stay committed to running the football, that'll be a big difference maker on Saturday, no doubt.
Ben Bryant became the career record holder in punt return yards, breaking Ryan Roush's record. What have you seen from Ben throughout kind of his whole career? I know he's been battling some injuries this season, but kind of his career as a whole.
Yeah, Ben's been dynamic, right? Just a dynamic player. And really, even on our offense, but I think people know him from the kicking game because the all-conference honors and those type of things. But in the past couple of years, his pass-catching ability out of the backfield, obviously being able to hand it to him and for him to be dynamic with the ball in his hands that way, it's just been a little different this year. Coming into the season, he had a little bit of a foot injury from last season, and that turned into a knee injury that popped up on him. So he's been just kind of battling through a few things, but he's still bringing that dimension to our punt return game. He came back, and I think within the first 4 games back, he was leading the conference punt return average. And, again, on Saturday is back there making plays. So, no doubt great having him back there in his career as a punt returner, kick returner, just a do-it-all, kind of Swiss Army knife kind of guy with the ball in his hands. It's been awesome. And to break a record that Ryan Roush holds, you're doing something. He was an All-American, return specialist here at Wartburg. And, so that's great for Ben. It's awesome that he's done that already, and he still has more to do. Still has more to do. So I'm excited to see what's next for Ben, and really proud of the career he's had so far, and looking forward to more of what he's been doing.
Good luck Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much.